What is up, guys? Jordan here from Show Me Vegas. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to fall. Well, sort of. It's still in the 90s in Las Vegas, but the calendar says it's fall, so that means it's time for your Fall News and Updates video 2025 edition. Before we begin, I'd like to say thank you so much for helping us smash that 50,000 subscriber goal before the end of the summer. We did that, and now we're on to bigger and better things. We're shooting for 60,000 by the end of the year in a quest to eventually make it to that prestigious 100,000 subscriber mark. And you can help by doing something totally free. Just look down below your screen and hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing and it helps us tremendously. This year, more than 75% of our views have come from viewers who are not subscribed, so there's plenty of room for growth. Be a friend of the channel and hit that subscribe button to help us grow. Alright, pleading out of the way, let's get into it. There is a lot to talk about. Alright, starting off, we have to briefly talk about visitation once again because it remains in a slump. The numbers are only out through July at this point. The August numbers won't be out until about the end of September, but for now the number of visitors to Las Vegas remains down about 12% for the summer. July was the second straight month of double-digit decline relative to last year. I discussed this in detail in last week's video, and I also used that video to contradict the popular notion right now that Vegas is a ghost town, which it's not. But that's an argument for a different day, so if you want to see more, go check out that video. I'll of course link it in the description box down below. Now, don't get me wrong, like so many people did in the comments section of that video, I'm not saying Vegas is busy right now. It is certainly slumping, and there is plenty of cause for concern, but it's definitely an overreaction to say that it's a ghost town or nobody is coming to Vegas when 3.1 million people visited in July, and the hotels on the Strip are still nearly 90% full on the weekends. Anyway, like I said, check out that video for more, but for now, let's talk about fall. Summer is typically slower in Las Vegas due to the searing heat, but the fall is a great time to visit Las Vegas because the weather is usually quite pleasant. Throughout September, high temps are usually in the 90s, gradually decreasing to the mid to low 60s by the end of November, and the nights finally start to cool off to the point where you might want a jacket at night by the middle to end of October, depending of course on where you're from. If you're still dreaming of a Vegas pool day, just know that to be safe, you're going to want to book before the third week of October, thereabouts, because that's generally when the pools that close for the winter begin to actually close. Some hotels do keep at least one pool open year-round, but certainly not all, so be sure and check the hotel website carefully if that's important to you. Moving on to new things to see and do in Las Vegas, the Wizard of Oz has kicked off at the Sphere, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was an odd choice, but now that it's begun, it looks awesome. If you weren't aware, they took the original motion picture and modified it to fill the Sphere screen and run in just 75 minutes time. Videos that we've seen, including this one from Josh and Rachel, look absolutely amazing, and they use the Sphere's technology to enhance the experience with wind, leaves, even snow. At one point, apples even fall from the sky, and you can take them home as a souvenir, or sell them on eBay. People have been selling them for quite a bit of money on eBay. It just looks like an amazing experience. Tickets for this start at about $109 and go up from there, which is pricey, but a good way to check out the Sphere if you've been wanting to. The Sphere is selling tickets to this on their website all the way out until April, and they have multiple shows per day. I just saw on one of the local news channels a story that said they had already sold more than 500,000 tickets and $65 million in sales for the Wizard of Oz so far, so it's been a big hit for the Sphere. Speaking of the Sphere, some new and some old acts are coming this fall. The Eagles are extending their run of shows with new dates in October and November. The Zac Brown Band will kick off at the Sphere in December, and the Backstreet Boys are adding more dates due to the massive popularity of their show, with new dates coming after Christmas, including a New Year's Eve show, so that's cool. We'll definitely talk more about shows and residencies later on in the video. Real quickly before we continue, more breaking news, not out of Vegas this time, but out of AG1. AG1 now has 3 brand new flavors. Thanks to AG1 for sponsoring this video. If you haven't heard me talk about it before, AG1 is a daily health drink that I've been taking for months now, and it has made a huge difference in my life. This stuff is made with 5 probiotic strains and more than 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. It fills the gaps in my nutrition, and it has made me feel terrific. It replaces the need for me to take a multivitamin, greens, probiotics. Everything I want is right here in this one source, and it tastes great. But if you've tried a product like this, or even this product in the past, and didn't like the flavor, just know that AG1 now has 3 new flavors: citrus, berry, and tropical. They are all terrific, but if you want my opinion, I am team citrus all the way. Since I've been taking AG1, the number one thing I've noticed is my energy levels are through the roof compared to where they were before. I no longer have that afternoon crash. I just feel so much better overall, and I couldn't possibly recommend this more. I've been telling my friends and family about it, and now that includes you as well. You can get started with AG1 for less than $3 a day when you subscribe. When you do subscribe, you get a free welcome kit that includes tons of extras, including a bottle of vitamin D and free travel packs. Don't wait, give AG1 a try today. I don't think you'll regret it. I know I certainly haven't. Thanks once again to AG1 for sponsoring this video. Let's talk construction updates. The A's ballpark appears to be more than just talk because they're officially pouring concrete now, and they've even gone vertical with it. This project has been met with a lot of skepticism, even by myself, because it took a long time to get the $2 billion plus in funding lined up. And even though they've already begun, the A's owner still hasn't said where the money's coming from. He's only saying that he has it lined up. I'm definitely a believer at this point because the pictures don't lie, and this is officially an active construction site. It's more than just moving dirt around. Like I said, they're pouring concrete, and it is in the shape of a ballpark, believe it or not. The Hard Rock Guitar Tower is gaining size on a nearly daily basis, and it's starting to look pretty impressive. There are quite a few stories up on it now, and I actually got a bird's eye view from Denny's across the street earlier in September. Let me tell you, it was a flurry of activity going on. They've even put some glass on the south side of the tower. Now, that's probably just a test at this point, but it's cool to see nonetheless. Hard Rock was slated to open in May 2027, but they're now saying fourth quarter of 2027, which does seem pretty reasonable. Now, I looked at the tower at night the last time I was by there, and you could see in some of the windows in the upper part of the old Mirage Tower had lights on, and it appeared to be gutted all the way down to the concrete, which is what they were planning on doing to that structure as well. So, seems like they're pretty far along, and I think 2027 is a reasonable goal. By the way, if you want a piece of the old Mirage, they're actually auctioning off a lot of that stuff. I'll find a link and put it in the description box down below, but there are online auctions going on right now. In-person bidding is supposed to start very soon. You can buy everything from dolphin sculptures to wall art that clearly was in some of the hotel rooms. You can even buy those famous bronze mermaid sculptures that were right inside the front doors. A lot of Mirage history is on the auction block, and it's not cheap, but it is cool if you were a big Mirage buff to be able to say you own a piece of it. Boulevard, or BLVD if you prefer, is finally open. Well, sort of. There are quite a few stores open on the ground floor, but the upper levels still look pretty barren. I had a chance to walk around on the upper level, which will eventually house the top floor of the new In-N-Out Burger, but it's essentially still a blank space, and there's really not even any construction happening on the empty storefronts up there except for a single ice cream shop. The rooftop also has a small bleacher seating area that faces the strip, and I don't really know what the practical use of this is, but I mean, it's not even useful for F1 because the track turns left onto Harmon, which is a few hundred yards to the north. If you know what they aim to use this for, let me know. I have seen some pictures online recently where they had concerts on that upper level, which is a pretty cool use of the space. I mean, there's a lot of deck space out there. But as far as actually opening stores, this might be bad timing, this coming online right in the middle of a visitation slump. I mentioned F1 just a minute ago. Speaking of F1, it's back once again this year in late November. The dates this year are November 20th through the 22nd, and single-day tickets are on sale. If you're planning on a fall trip to Las Vegas, just know that construction of the racetrack just began on September the 8th, and it's slated to be done at night with no road closures on the weekends. But if you've been to Vegas in the fall before while this is being set up, it does turn into a little bit of a mess. Soon they'll be closing the sidewalk in front of the Bellagio again to make way for the Bellagio Grandstand and Suites. They do continue operating the fountains during the construction, but you'll have to find a different place to view them. Places like Ole Red and Bottle Blonde will still have a view for a while, but if you want to see them up close, you'll have to go to the Bellagio side of the lake. They have a viewing area on the sidewalk closer to the main valet. After race weekend, the teardown is expected to be done by Christmas. Ellis Island finally took down the construction walls at street level and unveiled phase 1 of their expansion and renovation, and I must say it looks pretty cool. I've been meaning to go stay at Ellis Island, but I've been waiting until it doesn't look like a construction site anymore. They're not totally done, but they have opened their casino expansion, and it looks pretty swanky. Ellis Island offers some great food specials and low table minimums, so it's a great place to go to escape the high prices of the Strip, especially if you have price fatigue in Vegas, and we all do. You can walk there if you like, just start from the lower level of the Horseshoe, and it's a quick and easy walk. Let's talk about new and recently relocated restaurants in Las Vegas. Bazaar Meat has officially opened at the Palazzo, its new home, and the pictures are stunning. If you weren't aware, this is a phenomenal steakhouse by Jose Andres, and it used to be at the Sahara for many years. You can now find it on the lower level adjacent to the main lobby at Palazzo. If you go, be prepared for a fantastic meal and a fantastically big bill. It's expensive. Taking up the old bazaar meat space at Sahara is a steakhouse with a Jamaican flair called Maroon. This is a cool concept, and I'm pretty sure there's nothing else like it in Las Vegas, so kudos to the Sahara for finding a good alternative to bazaar meat, and quickly, as this is supposed to open this fall. The restaurant replacing Julian Serrano Tapas at Aria has been announced, and it's high-end Indian cuisine by the name of Gymkhana. Once again, there is no Indian fine dining on the Strip, and this is most certainly high-end as the original restaurant in London has 2 Michelin stars. Aria has a fantastic dining lineup, and it's only getting better. Egg Slut is coming to the Rio. When I stayed at Rio this summer, the space next to the front desk that used to be a Vietnamese spot was closed, and they didn't know or they wouldn't say what was going to go in there. Now we know, and this is a fantastic get for the Rio. The cosmopolitan location is incredibly popular, and although I've never wanted to brave the line, I hear it's very good. Comment below your thoughts on Egg Slut. Also coming to the Rio is High Steaks. This is going to replace Voodoo Steak at the top of the Rio's Masquerade Tower, and it's by the chef responsible for Esther's Kitchen downtown, James Trees. He has a fantastic reputation, and this spot is iconic for its views of the Las Vegas Strip, so this promises to be yet another fantastic addition to the Rio. Scheduled opening fall 2025. Five Guys just recently opened at the Venetian. I commented on this on my Center Strip video, and while I'm not a huge fan of their huge prices, Five Guys is quite popular, and now you have one on the Strip pretty much right next door to Casino Royale. In with the new and out with the old, Hooters has closed at the Yo-Yo. A lot of people thought this was about the only reason left to go to the Yo-Yo, and now you don't even have that. This happened just about a week after I put out this video detailing the condition of the Yo-Yo. Coincidence? I think not. I'm kidding, of course. Sort of. Of course, the biggest gripe about Las Vegas recently, and rightfully so, is the high cost of everything from cocktails to food to resort fees and even parking. Some pretty good deals are starting to show up around town. First, the small stuff. And even little things like this can make a big difference, so let's start with some drink deals. While I was in town at the beginning of this month, Station Casinos unveiled some new drink deals available at all of their casino bars 24/7, and they include $3 domestic bottles, $3 shots, and $1.99 margaritas. I was staying at Palace Station when I found out about this, so I decided to test it out, and it was legit. Alright, to be honest, the margarita almost put me into diabetic shock, but it was good, and you could make it a double for just $2 more, which was great. And although it's a bit early to say cheap drinks are back in Vegas, hey, it's a start. Speaking of cheap drinks, the Horseshoe has also debuted some beer specials at its casino bars, and they're $5 drafts. That might not at first glance seem crazy, but the average cost of a beer on the Strip these days is typically more like $12, so it's a nice discount. If you watch my latest Pizza Quest video, you notice there are some places on the Strip that also offer $5 beers. And if $5 beers aren't good enough for you, how about just an open bar? That's right, the Golden Gate has open bar starting September 19th every night from 6 to 7. You don't even need to be gambling, just walk up to the Prohibition bar and get a free drink. In addition to drink deals, something I've noticed we're starting to see more of in Vegas is prefix menus at restaurants, and when you really break some of them down, they do turn out to be a nice discount on what are some very expensive restaurants. So while I don't have any specifics to mention in this video, keep an eye out for them when you're dining in Vegas because they can be a nice surprise. And this is, of course, just the start, I would imagine, because it does seem like casino execs in Vegas are finally spooked by the low turnout, and unless the August and September numbers improve significantly, I'm certain the tide will begin to turn on these crazy food and drink prices. So keep an eye out for that. Alright, let's talk about hotel deals. In general, I've noticed a significant difference in the room rates lately, especially midweek. And especially if you're willing to use third-party sites like Plannin'. Shout out to Plannin', see below for our affiliate link and you can start saving big money on hotels. But specifically the big deal going on right now on the Strip is from Caesars Entertainment, who's offering a $300 all-in deal that will get you 2 hotel nights and $200 food and beverage credit with no resort fees added on. It's just $300. This is available at Harrah's, Link, and Flamingo, and it's going on through the end of the year. Again, it's just a start, but I would expect MGM Resorts to come out with something similar if the numbers don't turn around soon. We already saw things like free parking at Resorts World and waived resort fees there in Sahara earlier this year. We've also seen other companies coming out with package deals. They're slowly starting to materialize. Maybe I'll have more for the winter updates here in just a couple months. Alright, let's get into events, residencies, and shows. Oktoberfest downtown. Oktoberfest DTLV is coming to downtown actually this weekend. It starts today, September 19th, and runs through the weekend. It's on East Fremont Street. It is free to get in, although you do have to buy a wristband for $10 to be able to consume or purchase alcohol. Not sure how that actually works, but this is a traditional Oktoberfest event. It looks like a lot of fun. I mentioned earlier, this time of year starts to get a little bit busier, and a big part of that is sports. Sports in Las Vegas have become a pretty big deal. Of course, the Raiders are back in action at Allegiant Stadium, as well as UNLV. Both play their home games there throughout the fall. The NASCAR Cup Series comes back to Las Vegas on October 12th at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Golden Knights hockey gets started once again with preseason games starting this week, and the puck drops on the regular season in Vegas on October 8th. Alright, real quickly, let's go through some shows and residencies. It seemed like there were a lot of them, and I probably didn't even scratch the surface, but here we go. Janet Jackson at Resorts World this weekend. Rod Stewart back at the Coliseum late September and early October. John Legend, one show at the Cosmopolitan on September 26th. Paul McCartney is at Allegiant Stadium on October 4th. The Beach Boys at the Venetian in early October. Lionel Richie at the Wynn, 2 shows in October. Earth, Wind & Fire, 4 dates at the Venetian in October. A residency by Motley Crue just started at Dolby Live, and while you watch this video, Ashton and I are probably at the concert right now. At least if you're watching this on Friday night. This was postponed from April. We had tickets for a show in April that got postponed to September because apparently Vince Neil had a health issue. Stevie Nicks at T-Mobile Arena on October 11th. New Kids on the Block comes back to Park MGM, Dolby Live in November. Kelly Clarkson back at the Coliseum in November. In addition to all of these concerts and residencies, also you have your typical lineup: Barry Manilow, Donny Osmond, Wayne Newton, the typical Vegas performers. Those are all still around. If comedy is more your thing, Chris Tucker is at the Wynn in late September. Daniel Tosh has a show in October and another one in November at the Cosmopolitan. Steve Martin and Martin Short perform together at the Wynn October 10th and 11th. And Chelsea Handler is at the Cosmopolitan on November 1st. And if magic is more your thing, of course, there's always Shen Lim, and David Blaine has quite a few dates throughout the fall at Resorts World. That is it for this one. I'm sure I missed something. I always do. Let me know in the comments what you're looking forward to in Las Vegas this fall. I do these updates quarterly, so I'll be back with another one for the winter in probably about mid-November. Until then, I've got to move on to the next video. I will see you in that next video because there's always more for us to show you on Show Me Vegas.